Welcome to the Morning Mist. My previous video I made was about Charles Snyder, his hope theory. And there's two reasons why I made that video. One was because I liked or I was impressed with the fact that there's actually a theory on hope. I am, I like to look at certain things that aren't what I feel aren't exactly measurable, and here when I was looking hope up and here in finding his theory there where he says it's measurable. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make that video, that just demonstrating that the power of hope and how we can use it in our lives. And the second reason I made that video was because I wanted to lead into this video. I didn't want to put everything into that one video, and that one was a part 2. So where I wanted to go with that was that I wanted to demonstrate that we cannot build hope without a foundation. See, in the theory that Snyder was putting forth, and also when I listened to other people speak on the topic, or I've read some things on it, it's always implied, but it's never said, that there's something else that's needed before you can have hope, right? It's more than just a goal that's attainable or reasonable, reachable. It's got to be something on the same dimension of hope. And what I believe, through my own experience, and even when I read what Snyder was talking about, it was always there, it was just never said. And that foundation is what I call faith. Now that is a scary thing to some people, hearing that word, because we are taught that faith is just pertaining to religion and doctrines of religion and so forth. And so it's typically shunned by, it's usually shunned by maybe a scientific community or any people who feel they are intellectuals. I'm not an intellectual, so maybe that's why I'm so ready to accept it. But if you can accept the validity of a thing called hope, it's impossible to have hope without having faith. When Snyder was talking about, using hope to achieve, academic success or athletic success and so forth, how can you, faith just means to believe. That's what it means. It means to have trust, to have confidence in something. I believe the dictionary says to have complete trust or confidence in someone or something, and then the other part was to have faith, to have that trust or whatever in something, maybe God or some doctrines, or because of spiritual apprehension without proof or something like that. So there's that side of it. But then it also exists outside of the religious realm, right? It's something just like hope. It exists in the religious realm as well. but we accept it outside the religious realm. But sometimes you see, it's like we are taught certain things, and we kind of we are kind of hypocrites in a sense in how we talk about it, because even while we may denounce faith, we still may praise it, lift it up in another sense, and give recognition to it in another sense, right? So it's the same thing, right? Because a lot of times people will call faith wishful thinking, or just something like that. But if that's the case, then hope is wishful thinking as well, because you need a reason to have hope. You need a belief in order for you to have hope. And the belief isn't necessarily a tangible per se, like physically material. Right? But hope is also tangible. You know what I mean? On a level it can be that real. It can be that real. It's like if I'm going to, one of the definitions or examples that I used was academics, in academics. And now take the example that if I'm going to write an exam, and if I'm going to go into the exam and I'm not going to study or anything like that, but I want to do well, if I don't know the material and I want to do well, can I really have hope? Like real confidence that I'm going to actually do well on this exam? No. That's going to be wishful thinking. Right? I'm just, I'm going to go in there, I'll be all nervous and shaking, and, I'm going to be terrified. And I'm going to be just praying that I actually got the mark that I wanted. Now, compare that with a person who studies diligently, make certain that they know the material, they're confident with it, they want to get a certain mark, and so when they go into the exam, they're not, when they're looking at the exam, they're not filled with anxiety. They don't have that fear. When they read the question, it's not like, oh my gosh, what is it? I don't know this answer. They all look the same to me. They could all be right, or they could all be wrong. They look at it and they know, okay, it's this one. And they go, they're relaxed. All right, yep, I know that. There might be one or two answers they might have to guess on. But when they finish writing it, they're going to know they're done pretty well. The hope of achieving their goal is going to be pretty high. It's pretty tangible. It's real. Because when, their confidence level on that was based on something. Their belief isn't just without legs. The hope isn't without legs. It's based on a foundation of faith. The confidence. And the confidence is based on what they put into work. And they knew what they were certain of these answers. So that's how these things work. It can't be baseless. Right? It has to be a reason for hoping, just like there has to be a reason for faith. Even that needs a foundation. For me, I had to, so when I looked at different, there's a dictionary definition of faith. I looked at also other, certain religions and stuff. And my background is somewhat from a religion. I wasn't raised per se in religion, but I did go to spend some time in church for a little bit. So I might be a little biased here. I am. Actually, I probably am. But see if this isn't without, if it's just nonsense without any validity. But when I look at certain religions, some of the major religions, they tend to, when they define faith, it tends to be towards religion, like God or spirituality or the doctrines or so forth like that. But when I look at the definition in Christianity of the Bible, it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Right? So it says faith is the substance of things hoped for. It is the substance of your hope. You understand? This is what your hope is based on. You understand? This is what your hope is. You're holding to this, the faith, and it's because of that that you can have hope. It's a reason. It's life. It's what gives life to your hope. Does that make sense? Think about it. Can you have faith without a reason? And this doesn't give, it's not pertaining to religion. It's not pertaining to God. It's not pertaining to, it's just, this exists universally, regardless of where you are. This is truth. It's not pertaining, you don't have to, be going to church or anything like that to have faith. And for this to work in your life. This is just, there's a law in place. And I've talked about that before, about certain laws in place that you can use, that we do use unconsciously. Right? So for me, when the doctors were telling me that all the things that were wrong with me, and I was lost in just, I heard voices, both external and internal. I saw visions. I heard giants. I hear people talking in all kinds of. I think there's still more voices, but I've heard people talking to me through TV, through the radio, through IV pumps. I've seen, open my eyes, I see shadowy figures on the walls, on the ceiling, on the floor. I see shadowy children sitting on my leg, my lap. I was creepy. I was in some pretty deep, dark, frightening places. All kinds of things. Right? And for the doctor was telling me that only 1% of people recover from schizophrenia where they don't need medication, and that I was not one of them. That's what I said. You are not one of them. I couldn't blame the guy because based on my history, I was just, this was my cycle. But what in the world would cause me to take something other than what the doctor said, to hope outside of where the doctor gave me hope, right? Why would I have my hope raised to a level that far surpasses what the doctor had set for me? My expectations were far above where the doctor said it should be. See, I remember I used to live with, or at least think about this biblical quote. I used to, because it always rung so true, pertaining to my situation. It said, I think it was in Proverbs, it says, a man who has no rule over his own spirit is like A city that is broken down and without walls. And that always came to my mind from time to time going through all that. Think about it. What is a wall for? It's for different purposes, right? One is it's to protect the people or the things beyond this wall, right? It's to they put a boundary, right? And beyond it, within the wall, there's a certain level of safety, right? Outside the wall now, you can have all kinds of stuff out there. You can have, just there's enemies, man. There could be wild animals. There could be, all kinds of things that may pose a danger, a threat to the people on the other side. So it's very important. And picture this wall being removed, and there are enemies on the outside. What's going to stop them from just coming in, attacking the people? When the wall is there, you might have watchmen on the tower. They can look over that wall and see what's coming, who's coming, and if anything, they can alert the people. They can get the army ready, and they can have time to defend themselves. Without that, there is nowhere you're going to prepare. There's no time. And any enemy can just cross that wall, or not wall, just cross over whatever border that is, because there is no wall, and do what they want with the people. And I thought that was exactly like my mind. With schizophrenia, it's like everything was just, I had no rule over my mind, no control. What I said, what I heard, what I thought about. I couldn't even have a thought because there was just constantly noise, chatter, repeating this certain words over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And plus hearing things. And people, they're saying things that would get in my head and start. It was just a nightmare. Constantly, every day, all day. And, so it was just reminiscent of my situation, just no rule. And I'm completely just being invaded. Like I had no privacy. Anyone could just read my mind, I felt. Anybody could just take any thought that they wanted. Anything. And I had no guards in place. No protection. Nothing. It was just open. Come take what you want. That's what I was. That's what it felt like. But, after the doctors was telling me all, these things and just putting all these doubts and, things in me, of course they wanted me to be on the medication, which I get. I'm not telling anyone to get all the medication. You stay on that. That's good. But for me, I didn't want to exist like that because I didn't feel that was the only way. I mean, one, I wouldn't want it anyways, but I did not feel it was the only way. So when the doctor gave me that, and I am by no means an intellectual. I'm not an intellectual. I didn't even get my high school diploma. Missing some courses. I got a lot of credits, but the right course, I guess. But so when I try to go in the direction of taking, bringing back my sanity, I had to have something in place. If I'm going to have any hope of this, I had to put my faith in something. And again, that's, I looked to some of the words in the Bible. And one of them that stood out to me, something that I have on my wall, right, even to this day. And it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Or as a man believes himself to be in his heart, that he becomes. It was a different context that it was talking about in the Bible, but that's what it means. That's how I interpret it anyways. And that's what I agreed with that. I said, you know what? That sounds right, because usually if you berate certain people, like children especially, and you tell them these things, if you can convince someone to believe that they are something, they'll become that. If you get someone to believe that they're a failure, they'll be a failure. If they get them to believe they're a fool, they'll be a fool. You know what I mean? So you have to. So for me, anyways, it made sense. All this time, I am identifying, or at least in just looking at all this stuff that's going on within me, but I had to don't recognize it as what it wanted me to recognize. I had to recognize myself, what I wanted to be. You see, that was power. To recognize myself in the midst of all this madness. Recognize who I am. Right? So I had to start thinking who I want to be, and seeing that, and accept that reality. It's a difficult thing. I had to believe myself to be the person I am today, when it was not that. Right? It was only a shadow, until I finally was able to step into that reality. It became clearer and clearer. The image became clearer and clearer the more I walked forward. So I gave thanks for that. I gave thanks for the quiet, the fact that I didn't hear any voices, and having the delusions. I didn't see any of these visions or any of these nonsense. I gave thanks every day. The more that the voices try to tell me, convince me that what they were giving me was my reality, the more I became thankful for the opposite. The more they gave me torment, the more thankful I became for peace. You understand? The second thing I looked at was something that says, resist the devil and he shall flee. Now, I know, regardless of what you want to think about that, that's not the point I'm trying to make, whether devils exist or not. That's besides the point. Because what that means to me is turn away from the things that are there to cause you harm. Right? Turn away from, if I give my attention to something that is not of benefit to me, then it will destroy me. It will grow in strength It will have dominance in my life. It will rule over me. Resist anything that's trying to pull you into a direction or into dialogue or into just giving your attention to things that are destructive. That's what it means to me. So instead of me engaging with the voices like I usually did, I would curse at them. I would say, shut up, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. I would just talk, talking like a crazy person. So I had to stop doing that and say, you know what? I don't care what they said. I don't care how vile the thoughts that came to my mind. It has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? It's not me. I'm not listening. I'm going to look at what I want. I'm going to listen to what's productive. Something that's going to benefit me. So I became thankful for the things that I wanted, and I just tried to be more present-minded and focused on what was in front of me. And I talked about that. If you listened to my story, I talked about some of those things. And that's what I did. I embraced the things I wanted. I gave my attention to those things. I nurtured those things, and they flourished. They grew. And the things that I turned away from, they shrunk until the positive things took over completely. And those are what rule my heart and mind now. You see, because I had faith in this, and I had hope because of my faith. When the voices and all these things come, I had something I could look to, and with confidence. And this kept my hope high. It kept my attitude positive. I can move with energy. I can be, And there's times when it's going in 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month is still there. Is this going to work? Just cast that out. No, it's going to work. I'm thankful for that. You know what I mean? I kept going like that until all these things, from that being a mental concept, till it dropped down here. And it didn't matter how long it took. Sink or swim, live or die, this is where I will stand. This is where I will fall. If it's going to come to that. And sure enough, what I was expressing, was believing for, was hoping for, became reality. That's what it was. Faith, the power of faith. Without that, you do not have hope. Without faith, there is no hope. You understand? Faith is tangible. It is real. Just as hope is tangible and real. And you cannot have one without the other. You cannot have hope without faith, and you cannot have faith and have no hope. Doesn't work like that. And there's a lot of, you can't, this is why I say people shouldn't get off your meds, because if you try to step out on faith, and once you do that, you will be attacked. You will be attacked. There's no if, and, or buts about it. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be tested. See if you really believe what you're talking about. And if you fall, because you can, like me, I was, there are times, like I said, they were challenging me, it's been this long, and is it going to work? Are you sure? And all this stuff. And if I would give in, I would have collapsed, crashed, ended right back up in the hospital, and the doctor would have been right. You'd been proven right. But if you're on your meds, and the meds, for me, the meds never took away all my symptoms. If symptoms were still there, all the symptoms, it's not my symptoms, the symptoms of the illness. So I'm like saying my schizophrenia, my mental illness, my illness. It's none of that stuff. None of it's mine. I gave that back a long time ago. So, the meds didn't take away all the symptoms. There's still voices. There's still, all kinds of, my thoughts were still going, and I still had trouble concentrating, and, had this internal dialogue all the time. It didn't help me, but, and if you're a person in that situation where you're still going about your day, but you're still struggling, you're still hearing, sometimes even people hear the voices from when you're not on medication, they're negative. When you're on medication, they're positive. It's the same thing. Because if you stop medication, these voices just turn. It's just a lie. It's a trap. It's a trick. Don't be deceived by a wolf in sheep clothing. That's exactly what it is. So if you want to get rid of that, stay in your meds, and when you try to step out and whatever your faith is placed on, whatever you want to put it on, that's up to you. But the thing is, just to believe it is to have that hope and to have that belief. Because you can't have that hope, that positive mentality, without having that faith and something that can be solid. But if you step out and then you fall, you lose faith, you think, oh, it's not working, this is nonsense. You know what? Your meds are still there. That's your safety nets. Right? You're not going to completely collapse and crash. That's your safety net. Because, you still need to, to thrive and to move forward. So, in case that doesn't work out for you, because, it's sometimes you can't hold on. But if hope is a light, and we need a light, because schizophrenia, mental illness, these are dark places, man. And when you're walking through a dark place, when you in a long, dark night, what are you hoping for? It's for the daylight, for the sun, for that to come forward. And hope is that light. And if hope is a light, let's say it's a flashlight, if hope is like a light from a flashlight, faith is your battery. It's your power source. It energizes your hope. It gives life to your hope. That's what it is. You don't have a light without a power source. You don't have it. If hope is light, which it is, you need a power source. Or else, what is your hope? That's what you call wishful thinking. It's without foundation. There's no basis for it. When the testing comes, you will crash. The reality is going to be presented to you. That's how people kind of lose themselves like that, because they don't have something to fall on, or to stay when things are going bad and they're losing their balance, they can stand back, something, just rise up on their feet. There's still ground underneath them. Their legs still got some strength because there's something supporting them, and they can withstand whatever assault is coming on them, right? And you hold on long enough, the assault has to give way. No matter how dark and long the night is, the sun always comes forward. Right? You just have to wait long enough. You just have to keep patient. Keep believing. Keep going. It's going to come. Every night always ends with the morning. You understand? Just got to keep believing. Don't lose heart. So that's what it is. Schizophrenia and the power of faith, the power of hope. I want to make a video about, someone asked me about, make a video about just how my life was, or how to use these things in my life, I guess. And, examples of how I would encounter things and how I would meet those challenges. And I thought it'd just be too long. But, so I was like, I was a bit iffy on it, because I just didn't know how to go about it. And then I was asked again, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should make it about like a day or two or three about just kind of things, how I'd go about my day and things that would come up, and how I would, deal with those in order to not get overcome by the weight of some of those things. So that's what I want to do, but I want to finish this video, this thing first, and get that out, finished up this talk on faith and hope and so forth, which I might do again. You just never know, because it's a lot. And it's good stuff. I like it. I like it. It helped me. Understand? It helped me not only to get through schizophrenia. I lost 100 pounds from taking all those meds and eating. I gained a lot of weight, addicted to Wendy's and junk food and all this stuff like that. Lost 100 pounds. Ran my first 10K last year. And got me through trade school. You know what I mean? So I'm an electrician. I got a job. You know, I'm doing pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any issues. You know, I mean, I got issues. Like, everyone has issues, but not mental illness. You know, when doing so well, when I tell people that I've had mental illness, people are like, wow, I would never have guessed. Because I totally eradicated it. Just like with this, when I was told this was not possible. You understand? These are the professionals telling me, people that go to school for years, experts in their field, good ones too. They were very good doctors. You know, a lot of people trust in them, have good things to say about them. You know, they do like everybody else. They go to all the conferences, they up with the latest research and all these things, but yet, I took a different road. Not, you know, contradicting anything that they, with their medications and so forth. It's just, they just see a piece of the puzzle. There's another side to it, another world. This thing is a mystery to a lot of people. Some people say it's just chemicals and all this. Some people say it's spirits or demons. Whatever it is, you can still get beyond it. You're not limited to what people set for you, what bar they set. You know, there's a whole universe in you, just a large, you know, just so much to you as an individual, and to be limited by what somebody else puts on you. That's a shame. We shouldn't be like that. We should always set the bar high and try and climb as high as we can go. It's not about whether we reach the goal ultimately. Is that, you know, we keep moving forward. That's what it is. Keep pushing forward. You know, and some people, you know, might be content where you are. That's okay too. But for those who aren't content, you know, there's still room to grow. There's still a long road ahead of you to walk. You can walk past schizophrenia and strive towards other goals in your life, man. Outside of that, leave that behind. You know, and I want... Anyway, I'm making this video longer than I wanted it. So, yeah, next time.